All right, so get this. We're diving into the world of Aztec superfoods today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're talking chia seeds, spirulina, you name it. We've got it all on the list today. And the best part is we've got this list of supposedly humorous facts
Oh?
about these ancient Eads, and apparently they were like the Aztec secret to eternal youth.
Well, we're going to see if those claims hold any water or if it's just ancient marketing hype.
Right.
Time to separate the historical intrigue from modern-day superfood trends.
I love it. So you're saying we might be debunking some myths today?
Oh, potentially, yeah.
Like that image of Aztec warriors just conquering the day on a spoonful of chia seeds?
Right.
Was that really their secret weapon?
It's a striking image, isn't it? But the truth is, while chia seeds were highly valued, even used as currency, a single spoonful wouldn't have sustained a warrior for an entire day.
Wait, they used chia seeds as currency?
They did, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about what that says about their society, that this tiny seed held that much value.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if there was a spiritual aspect to it as well, beyond just its nutritional content.
Fascinating. Okay, so maybe not a day's worth of calories, but what about their nutritional value? Were they onto something with chia seeds?
Absolutely. Think of them as the original energy bar packed with protein and fiber, giving those warriors a boost of energy on the go.
Oh, so portable nutrition.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Speaking of chia seeds, one fact on our list claims that the Aztecs invented chia pets. Any truth to that?
No, that one made me chuckle. Chia pets are definitely a modern invention.
Yeah.
I admit, though, the image of an Aztec family huddled around a clay pot watching chia sprouts grow is pretty amusing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like the ancient version of those bread-making machines everyone had in the 90s.
Right.
But on a more serious note, chia seeds are having a real moment now, aren't they?
They are. You see them everywhere, and for good reason. They're incredibly versatile. Sprinkle them on yogurt, blend them into smoothies. You can even use them as an egg replacement in baking.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea. See, this is why I love these deep dives. Always learning something new.
Yeah.
Okay, but enough about chia. Let's move on to something a little less, shall we say, mainstream, spirulina. Even the name sounds a little out there.
And its history is just as intriguing. This blue-green algae was a staple in the Aztec diet, harvested straight from Lake Texcoco, the heart of their empire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Our list actually calls it stone dung, which doesn't exactly sound appetizing.
Well, food marketing has come a long way since then, hasn't it?
I'd say so.
But names aside, what's fascinating is that they recognize spirulina's value. This algae has 15 times more protein per acre than soybeans.
15 times, that's incredible. So are we all about to switch to a spirulina-based diet now? Is that the secret to a long life?
Hold on, while spirulina is packed with nutrients and antioxidants, it's not a magic bullet. It's not going to grant immortality as much as the Aztecs might have hoped, but it can be a valuable part of a balanced diet.
Good to know. So no fountain of youth, but still a nutritional powerhouse. What exactly does spirulina taste like? I have to admit, I'm having trouble getting past that whole stone dung description.
Let's just say it's an acquired taste. Think of it like a fun-sized candy bar, but made of algae.
Okay, that visual is going to stay with me for a while, but hey, at least it's memorable, right?
That it is. Now we're ready to move on to the real star of the Aztec culinary world, maize.
Bring on the maize. I'm ready to get corny and dive into this ancient grain.
I should have known you'd have a pun, ready maize, or as we know it today, corn was considered sacred by the Aztecs. They even had a ritual where women would blow on the kernels before cooking them.
Blow on them.
Why? That's so interesting.
They believed it would prevent the maize from fearing the fire. It's a small detail, but it shows how much they revered this crop.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
They really saw it as more than just food.
Absolutely. It was their staple food, and its significance runs deep in their mythology. They even had a maize god named Centitl, believed to ensure a bountiful harvest.
Okay, that's a fun fact I'm definitely remembering.
Yeah.
But how did they actually prepare this sacred maize? Was it all just boiled corn on the cob? Not quite. The Aztecs were way ahead of their time when it came to food preparation. They developed a process called nixtamalization.
What?
Nixtamalization.
That sounds pretty complicated. Why not just eat it straight off the cob?
Because nixtamalization isn't just some culinary quirk. It actually transforms the nutritional content of maize.
Transforms how?
This process makes certain nutrients like niacin easier for our bodies to absorb. It's like they were biohacking their food centuries ago. Plus, this nixtamalized masa, as they called it, formed the base for so many dishes.
So they were making maize even more nutritious. That's amazing. What kind of dishes are we talking about?
Tortillas, tamales, atole, a warm porridge-like drink. Imagine the aroma of freshly made tortillas wafting through the air.
Okay, now I'm officially hungry. But before we take a snack break, we have to address something else mentioned on our list of humorous facts. It seems that the Aztecs also had a taste for, let's just say, more adventurous protein sources.
Ah, yes, the part of the Aztec diet that tends to make people a little squeamish today.
To put it mildly, we're talking grasshoppers, mugwort worms, ants, even axolots.
Right.
Expert. Are you telling me those cute little salamanders were on the menu too?
We'll delve into the hows and whys of those dietary choices after a quick break. Stay with us.
Okay, so we're back on this culinary journey through ancient Aztec cuisine. And I have to admit, I'm a little hesitant to dive into this next part of our list.
Okay.
We're talking about those humorous Aztec eats that aren't exactly making my mouth water.
Right, straight to the grasshoppers, mugwort worms, and ants.
We got it.
Yeah, not the most conventional protein sources. Oh. But for the Aztecs, these were regular parts of their diet.
I'm all for trying new things, but worms and insects, it's a hard pass for me. Were they just trying to survive, or was there more to it than that?
It's easy to judge through a modern lens, but there's often an ecological and nutritional context worth considering. Take grasshoppers, for example. They were a surprisingly sustainable protein source. Compared to traditional livestock, they require far less land and water.
Okay, that's a good point for Team Grasshopper. Environmentally friendly protein. Got it. But what about the worms? Those mugwort worms sound especially well wriggly.
Picture this plump roasted mugwort worm seasoned with a touch of salt and lime. They're still considered a delicacy in some parts of Mexico today.
You know, I'm all for sustainable eating, but you're not winning me over on that one. I think I'll stick to my veggie burger. What about the ants? Were those just sprinkled on food like pepper?
Not exactly ants, particularly their larvae, were prized for their nutty flavor. Consider them the ancient Aztec equivalent of caviar.
Caviar. Okay, that's a comparison I wasn't expecting. Maybe they were on something with those ants, right. But we can't forget about the axolotls. Those cute little salamanders were on the menu too.
While it's true that axolotls were consumed, they were likely a rarity, maybe reserved for special occasions or for those living near their natural habitats.
Okay.
It's a good reminder that even within the Aztec Empire, diets probably varied based on location and social standing.
That makes sense. Okay, I need a palate cleanser after that deep dive into Aztec exotic foods. Let's talk about something a little more familiar. Shall we? Beans, chili peppers, avocados now. Those are foods I can get behind.
Back to familiar territory. But even these staples have their fascinating stories to tell. Take beans, for instance. We all know them as a good source of protein. But did you know they were also incorporated into religious ceremonies?
Wait, really? Ritualistic bean dishes?
Yeah.
I need details.
Unfortunately, those details are lost to history. But it's fascinating to think about, isn't it? They saw real value in these simple ingredients, both for their nutritional benefits and their cultural significance.
I love that. Okay, what about chili peppers? I can't imagine Aztec cuisine without a good dose of heat.
You're right on the mark. Chili peppers were essential, used in practically every dish, and they weren't just about spice. The Aztecs were masters of preservation, drying and grinding chilies into powders, even separating them by their flavor profiles.
Oh, wow.
Sweet, fruity, earthy, smoky, and of course, fiery hot.
Wow, they had a whole spice rack dedicated to chili peppers alone. It sounds like they were really in tune with the different flavors and uses of each variety. They were way ahead of their time. What about avocados? Did they know about the deliciousness that is guacamole?
While guacamole as we know it is a more recent invention, avocados were highly regarded by the Aztecs. They called them ahuacatl, which interestingly translates to testicle.
Hold on, seriously, testicle. I'm never looking at an avocado the same way again. Was it because of their shape?
Perhaps, but it's also believed to be connected to the Aztec belief that avocados had aphrodisiac properties.
That's hilarious. The original Netflix and chill food. I'll never forget that. We've talked about the everyday staples, the foods that were accessible to most people. But what about the elite? Did they have their own Aztec superfoods?
Absolutely. In the Aztec world, certain foods were considered rare and valuable, reserved for the upper echelons of society. Think of them as the culinary equivalent of gold and jewels.
Ooh, intrigue. So what were these elite eats? Tell me everything.
Cacao is a perfect example. The Aztecs believed that this food of the gods was a divine gift. It was so highly prized that cacao beans were used as currency.
What?
Imagine paying for your groceries with chocolate.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Sign me up for that kind of economic system.
But did they eat cacao beans straight up, or did they have a more refined palate?
They did indulge in a rather decadent beverage. Think of it as a spicy hot chocolate. They'd mix ground cacao beans with water, vanilla, and chilies for a drink fit for royalty.
Now that's a drink I could get behind. Move over pumpkin spice latte. There's a new drink in town.
Okay, so cacao is the Aztec gold. What else was on their luxury menu?
Amaranth. This ancient grain, sometimes called the immortality grain, held deep religious significance for the Aztecs. They believed it had supernatural powers.
Immortality grain.
Oh.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. The Aztecs were really into the idea of food as a fountain of youth.
It's true, and this belief wasn't entirely unfounded. Amaranth, like many of the foods we've discussed, is incredibly nutritious. It's a complete protein packed with fiber and essential minerals. In fact, it was so important to the Aztecs that the Spanish actually banned its cultivation for a time because of its association with their religious practices.
Wow, talk about a testament to its power. So how did they consume this immortality grain? Was it like a gruel, or were there more palatable ways to get your dose of eternal life?
Amaranth is surprisingly versatile. The seeds can be popped like popcorn, ground into flour, or cooked like quinoa. And the leaves, they were eaten as greens, much like spinach today.
So they were eating their greens even back then. I have to admit, the more we learn about the Aztecs, the cooler they seem. But before we get too caught up in the romance of the past, let's shift gears a bit. We've covered a lot of historical ground, but there's a whole other category of Aztec superfoods that are making waves in the modern world.
You're talking about the superfoods that have transcended their historical context and taken on a life of their own in the modern wellness space.
Exactly. Things like quinoa, maca, guava, papaya, even agave and jicama. So what's the deal with these modern superfoods? Were the Aztecs onto something all those centuries ago? Let's find out. We're back and ready to uncover the stories behind some of these modern-day health food darlings. Expert, where do we even begin?
Let's start with quinoa. The Aztecs referred to it as the mother grain, and they prized it for its versatility and stamina-boosting qualities.
It seems like it's experiencing a real resurgence now, especially as a gluten-free option.
Yeah.
Is that mother grain title just ancient hype, or was there something to it?
It's definitely more than hype. Quinoa is what's known as a complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids that our bodies need but can't produce on their own. Just like amaranth, you can eat both the seeds and the leaves, making it a truly sustainable and zero-waste food.
So the Aztecs were onto something with quinoa. It sounds like they were way ahead of the curve when it came to finding sustainable food sources.
Right.
What about maca? I've seen that marketed as this energy and vitality booster. Is that accurate?
That tracks with its historical use. The Aztecs believed that maca enhanced warrior performance, and interestingly enough, there's some modern research suggesting it might actually boost energy and stamina.
Wow. From ancient warriors to modern-day gym goers. It's amazing how these ancient foods are still relevant today. What's next on our superfood lineup?
Guava and papaya. These tropical fruits were more than just sweet treats to the Aztecs. They recognized their medicinal properties, particularly using the leaves for various remedies.
I had no idea you could use the leaves. I love a good guava, though. Is there anything particularly special about them nutritionally?
Well, get this. Guavas have a surprising amount of vitamin C, even more than oranges.
Wow. I did not know that. It seems like there's more to these fruits than meets the eye. What about papaya? Any hidden superpowers there?
Papayas are known for containing papain, an enzyme that aids in digestion. It's actually why some people eat papaya after a big meal.
That makes so much sense. All right, we're on a roll here, but we can't wrap up this superfood extravaganza without talking about agave and jicama. They might not be as trendy as some of the others, but I have a feeling they have some hidden depths.
You're absolutely right. Both agave and jicama have a surprising number of uses. Let's start with agave. Today, we mainly think of it as a sweetener, but the Aztecs used it for so much more.
Tequila?
Well, tequila is made from a specific type of blue agave. But you're right, alcoholic beverages were one use. They made a fermented drink called pulque, but it doesn't stop there. They also used agave fibers for clothing the sap as a sweetener, the leaves for roofing, even the thorns were used as needles.
Really? It's incredible how resourceful they were using every part of the plant.
Yeah.
Okay, what about jicama? What's so special about this crunchy root?
For starters, it's incredibly refreshing, often described as tasting like crunchy water, if you can imagine that. But jicama isn't just hydrating. It's a good source of fiber and vitamin C.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Did the Aztecs eat it raw?
Exactly. Though they also discovered that jicama seeds contain rotenone, a naturally occurring insecticide.
Wow, it's like they were the original biohackers finding ingenious ways to use what nature provided.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from chia seeds to jicama. It's clear that the Aztecs had a deep respect for and understanding of plants and their power. But they also weren't afraid to, well, be a bit adventurous with their food choices.
That's a great way to put it. Their diet was a fascinating mix of the familiar and the unexpected.
So as we wrap up this Aztec food journey, I have to ask, was their diet really as healthy as all these superfood trends suggest?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of these individual ingredients and their potential benefits, and there's no denying the Aztec diet had a lot going for it. It was largely plant-based, emphasizing whole grains, beans, vegetables, fruits, and a surprising variety of protein sources. What's really interesting is that they understood the deep connection between food and ritual, believing that what they consumed impacted both their physical and spiritual well-being.
But it's not like they were living to 100 just on a diet of chia seeds and spirulina, right?
Right, and that's important to remember. While their diet was undoubtedly nutritious and diverse, it's crucial to avoid romanticizing it too much. The Aztecs, like any civilization, faced challenges, famine, disease, conflict. Their lives and their diets were complex.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hype of the latest superfood fads, but there's no one magic solution.
Exactly. What we can learn from the Aztecs is the importance of balanced variety and a healthy respect for the power of nature. They didn't have all the answers just like us, but by exploring their culinary traditions, we might uncover some timeless wisdom about our relationship with food and well-being.
I love that takeaway. It's not about striving for some mythical ideal of eternal youth. It's about appreciating the interconnectedness of food culture and well-being, and maybe adding some of these ancient superfoods to our plates.
Now you're thinking like an Aztec.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. I'm feeling inspired to get a little adventurous in the kitchen. Maybe I'll even give jicama another try.
I'd say that's a successful deep dive then.
Absolutely. Until next time, everyone.